Hello faithful viewers and welcome back to another Transformers re-review. This time we're looking at the Studio Series Dark of the Moon Dino, aka Mirage. That's a little bit up for debate. If you go by the IDW comics, then he was Mirage. If you just go by the film on its own, then he's Dino. But why was he called Dino instead of that? Well, a couple of reasons. As I said in the original review, it's because Mattel are a rival to Hasbro, and Mattel own the license for the Ferrari 458 Italia in all kinds of merchandise and toys. So they naturally don't want one of their products to bear the name of a license that Hasbro owns. And then the second thing, it was my understanding back in the day that Ferrari wanted the character to be named after Alfonso Dino Ferrari. Anyway, Dino here. Obviously for licensing, he isn't a proper Ferrari 458 Italia. That's what he was in the film, but here he is something similar, but not quite. There are trace elements of the Ferrari in terms of the application here. So the headlights are similar. It's red, obviously. It's nice and sleek and streamlined, but otherwise it's completely nondescript. There's no logo on this car at all, and it's a decent approximation of something as close as you can possibly get to Ferrari. In some facets, though, I do think he is a little bit boxy, up top here especially, but you know, I like the moulding of the window wipers up front. That's a nice little detail there. There's no proper interior seating, but the position of the feet inside there, as well as the blades hanging down, kind of give an illusion of interior seating. In terms of what becomes what, things aren't really hidden very well. You've got the arms visible there, you've got the feet, you've got the chest, the head, you can determine is somewhere stuffed in there. So underside, things aren't really hidden, but at least from the top, things are decently hidden. How does he roll? There's some resistance, and I think it's primarily because of where his feet are stored. You can even see from the sides here that the sides of his foot, these little extra bits here, just hang down, so they must cause some friction on there. His tyres don't all roll together in unison, so that's a little bit disappointing. But overall, the vehicle mode is decent, it's passable. It's just nice to have it. In terms of transformation then to robot mode. So the first thing we're going to do, as we do with most car formers, is open the doors. There are 2 points of where the doors are secured in. The first one is on the bottoms, well, the sides of the feet here, some ports, and then there are the tabs there. Now you can see me just pulling down on that actually managed to bring that door out. So we can do that, and we can flip those parts of the doors in. Same thing on this side, just unhatch it there first, and then you can effectively just pull all of this away, which is quite an interesting sight, to be honest. We're going to focus on this part of him first, so we are going to come to the back of the car here, and we're just going to maneuver these side pieces away, which will just allow us to bring this panel up. We're going to rotate it round 180, and then we're just going to bring it up on that hinge right there and leave it hanging upwards. We are going to come to the legs, we're just going to flare them out, and we are going to rotate them back up and out of the way. And then we're going to rotate him 180 at the knees, bring the feet down, and then with these thigh pieces, push them inward like that to keep his legs as streamlined as possible. And that's his lower torso effectively done. With the top of the vehicle mode now, what we're going to do is just pry his head out and just make sure it's tabbed into place like that. Then we are going to unpeg the lights and the sides of the front area and just bring them down and that way. That will allow us the freedom to just get the arms out of there, and then we're going to reach in and take out his arm blades and just pop them off to the side for now. Then, leaving the arms hanging down for the sake of clearance, we are going to take this front bonnet piece and rotate it 180 like that. We can then essentially get the arms like that. We are going to rotate the fists and the forearms, so the grey bit is facing forward and the hands are in their neutral position like that. Then you can straighten out the arms just like so. Take the front bumper and push it in like that. And then the car's basically going to do some dark magic and fold into a very neat parcel. Using the skids and mudflap style hinge, we're going to push this bit forward, pushing this bit forward as well. So you basically got it crunching up like that, and then claps that on there, bringing this down as we do so, like that, and then pinning it all in place by slapping the back bumper into those rectangular tabs like that. And then you can finish things off by pushing the chest in and locking it at the tabbing point just behind the head. And then you can basically then just reattach the arm blades like that, and you are essentially done with the transformation. So there's Dino in a pretty decent looking robot mode. I think from the front profile, quite nice. He's got definitely the silhouette of how he looked in Dark of the Moon. It's just slightly weird though, given the backpack and the general engineering of how the transformation goes on, because Dino is quite a slim guy in the film, and if you just try and imagine those bits aren't there, then yeah, it pulls off that slim effect quite well. But at the same time, and especially when you rotate him around, he just does seem like he's got quite a lot of stuff just mashed into there. And, you know, he does, because of the way he transforms. And on one point of view, it's quite clever engineering. But on the other, it just kind of betrays his figure. You kind of understand what I mean, I hope. It's a funny old design to try and translate into a toy. It's one of the first Michael Bay designs where it's kind of an impossible transformer to pull off, especially with the chest and the way that the front end of a Ferrari is meant to collapse like that. Third-party companies have pulled that off. This goes for the fake chest, and whilst the overall design of this is pretty good, I kind of would have liked to have seen them find a way to actually incorporate the front end of the car into there. As it stands, you can see it's on his shoulders, and you know, that's fine. What they've done here is fine, and at least we've got a Dino figure. Taking a look at that noggin in greater detail, that is a very faithful representation of Dino from the film. Nice silver, nice red, lots of detail in there. No light piping, but he does have blue eyes. Again, fake chest with moulding of the front end of the car there, but it looks pretty nice. You can see the actual lights are on the arms there, which is cool. You've got the arm blades here, which can freely rotate, as he does actually demonstrate that in the film itself. So that's their natural position, and they are nicely sculpted as well. Plain grey hands. You've got nice wide feet. So he, stability-wise, He's pretty decent. He sometimes does struggle a wee little bit with standing, depending on what posture you've got him in. But, well, okay, just that proved my point exactly there. And then, of course, kibble management is pretty good. He doesn't have a lot hanging off him because of the way it all just folds into a neat parcel. Again, I'm on two minds about this, really. In terms of articulation then, Dino's head can look from side to side only about that far, just due to the general moulding of his collar area. You can only look up that far, and then he can't really look down at all. At the shoulders, he can rotate from 360 degrees. The door wings are obviously articulated as well on independent pins, so you've got quite a lot of range of movement with them. At the biceps, he can rotate 180 in that general direction. He has a double jointed elbow for an over 90-degree bend, and then the wrists are capable of rotating 360 degrees. Nothing at the waist. He's got an impressive forward kick, he's got an impressive back kick, and he's got an okay spread, just due to the general moulding of his thigh area. The ball joints on his hips allow a little bit of swivel like that. He's got a 90-degree bend at the knee, and then at the feet he's got up and down wiggle waggle at the ankle. No ankle pivot or anything. This figure predates the installation of that type of engineering. So he's got okay articulation, probably average is the best descriptor for it. Oh yeah, he does rotate at the knees. 360, I failed to point that out a moment ago. Average articulation overall, though, I'd say. For size comparisons then, here he is with Revenge of the Fallen sideways, showing him because he shares the mould of the first attempt at Dino from like Age of Extinction. Here he is with another red Autobot. This is Transformers Prime RID Cliff Jumper. Here he is with the spawn of Satan himself, Murder Bee. Here he is with the ultra rare Dark of the Moon Wheeljack Q. Here he is with Titanium Man, and here he is with Mysterio. To transform Dino back into vehicle mode, the first thing we're going to do is relieve him of his weapons. So take his arm blades, pull them off, and discard them. We will reattach them mid-transformation to where they need to go. Then, logically, the next thing to do is to unpeg his chest and therefore his head at the same time. So pull all of that away, just leave it hanging all the way down. You could probably, at this point though, flip his head back just like that. And then we are going to disassemble his entire backpack apparatus. So unpegging the rear bumper area, we're just going to not pull it off the mushroom peg. That's a great start. We're going to unpick this and extend all of that back out. This should just slide back on. As you can see, most of the car just tucks neatly away into a small package, and you extend it all out, and we're making essentially the majority of the car shell here. We are going to just bring the arms out like that a bit and extend this bit down, and then hopefully when we get ourselves a little bit of clearance, we should be able to rotate this front bonnet piece 180 like that, just taking care not to rip it off its own mushroom peg. And then you can bring all of this out like this, and you can see how the skeleton of the car is slowly coming together. We'll just finish neatening that bit up at the end, so we're going to come back down here to the rear of the car. We're going to just push that bit back out of the way. We're going to rotate his legs 180 at the knees, and we're going to clamp the feet up against the shins. And then, now would be a decent time to return the arm blades to where they're meant to be. So just peg them in to the clear plastic ports on the underside of the roof area. With the rear end of the car, you'll notice that you've got the skids and mud flap style little hinge here. So you just want to make sure that that goes through the gap and just pegs. And then with this section, make sure it comes flat. And then with this, rotate it 180. With the tops of the legs, the thigh area, make sure that these panels are extended outward and swing the legs round like this. In fact, let's peg all of this back area together now. So approaching things at a slight angle, because it is tough to get all of this neatly and concisely pegged in. We just want to guide one edge in and then guide the other edge in, and there we go. That was actually pretty easy for me, but that's the rear end of the car essentially stuck together. Now, to secure it all in place, there are pegs on the sides of the back heels, and they will go into ports further up, and that will effectively pin everything nice and securely in place. When it comes to getting the arms into position, you want to be rotating the forearms like that, and then rotate the fists like that as well. Then double hinge the arms so that they are at that kind of angle, and then we are just going to be feeding them up and forward so that the shoulder pieces will connect into the front end just like that. I'm getting a little bit of resistance, but it all will eventually just maneuver correctly. And eventually you're going to end up with something like this, with the arms pinned together and the backs of the hands pinned together, and then that'll allow you to neatly put the front end of the car together as well. Now, when it comes to getting all of this back into place, you will remember these weird elongated things next to Dino's head. You want to be threading them toward the back of the hands, so they actually want to sit behind the arms in vehicle mode, and that'll allow you just to put everything flush against one another and into place. And then the final things are on the doors here, so open these panels like that, making sure you don't really knock anything as you go. And as you shut these doors, not only are you going to be pegging them in at the back here, but this is where that tab on the foot comes in, and it goes into a circular port right there. So 2 locking systems in order to get this nice and securely there. So that's one side, and then for the other, starting at the back and then securing it with that heel tab. Just give everything a decent squeeze, and theoretically that should be Dino fully transformed into car mode. So Studio Series Dino then, it's a decent figure overall. It's the only official representation of this character other than a reuse of the ROTF Sideways mold. So it's the most original version of the character to exist in toy form, especially officially licensed. So instantaneously he gets a recommendation from me on that basis. He is very obviously early Studio Series given some of the modern articulation points that he is now missing, but still it's nice to have him. At least it's nice to have a pretty decent representation of a character like Dino, so absolutely pick him up. I don't foresee Hasbro doing a revamp of this anytime soon. What you see is what you get, and it's just nice to have it, isn't it, at the end of the day. Thank you everybody so much for stopping by and checking out this video. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and share it around to help out the channel. And until the next time, see you all later.